Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Weekly Awakening podcast. It is your host, Cosmic Colleen. I hope everyone had a fabulous weekend. I'm excited to tell you about what happened in my weekend and how to relate it to last week's transits. And if after you listen to that, if you're curious, go back and listen to last week's and see exactly how that all played out maybe in your own life. Anyways, today we have Monday. What is today? The 28th. Monday the 28th, we have Venus conjunct Saturn, which perfects today. Mercury in Aries, a new moon at the end of the week in Aries that will also be conjoined Mercury. So that is really the big transits of this week that I am going to go over on today's episode. I just want to remind everyone to follow me on social media. It is Cosmic Colleen, 1C, Twitter _ Try to make it easy for everyone. If you want to support the show, the best way you can support the show right now is by sending it to someone, subscribing, rate, review, posting about it on social media, liking my post, however that is, however you guys support me and play it out. I'm so grateful for all of you. I really, really am. So many of you week in and week out support me, post about me, send it to people, and you guys are going to really help me make it one day. That I can know. And it's funny, last week I had this moment. It was like all day. It must have been after I posted last week's episode, which I think I posted on Wednesday. I was like, wow, people really, they're not sick of me? You guys really listen to me every week? Some of you have been listening to me from the whole 2.5 years since I started this podcast. It started with just my interviews, and now I'm like, wow, every week for the last 15 months, people have been tuning in just to listen to these 15-minute episodes of me talking about the astrology of the week. And you guys don't hate me and you aren't sick of me. Even when Mercury's all crazy and my episodes come out a little bit wonky, you guys still tune in. I am so grateful for that. I am so grateful and blessed and lucky. I can't tell you how grateful I am for all of you. And I love you guys so much. So last week we had Mercury conjunct Neptune, and I want to say how that kind of played out into my life because it's sort of a funny story. So that conjunction was happening in my 7th house of marriage. It's not just marriage, though, the 7th house. However, long-term partnerships, business partnerships, any of those type of really long-term, intense, big relationships in our lives happen in the 7th house of marriage. So remind you, if I'm saying 7th house of marriage, just know it's like the intense, the deep, the very long relationship house, we should say. Because the 5th house is romance, but that's just romance. It's not our actual long-term partnerships. And it was opposite my moon in the 1st house, which is the house of self, us, our identity, all of that. And I was not sure how it was going to play out. I never do. And oftentimes I project to the worst case scenario, like most of us, and I try not to, but I do. And I even said to the Capricorn moon, I said, hey, this Mercury conjunct Neptune is happening in my house of marriage, so no funny business. Because if you listen to last week when Mercury conjoins Neptune, our illusions are revealed, there is deceit, there's dishonesty. Oftentimes we see how we get caught up in our own dreamy world. So I wasn't sure again how that's going to play out. Well, let me tell you, I got a bunch of fake profiles made about me on Instagram. That is how that played out. I did not even see it coming that way. For a little bit, I was feeling kind of left out. Everyone was getting them. I'm just kidding. That's, of course, kidding. And another kidding is I sort of felt like, oh, I guess I finally made it then. Did I make it since these people? However, it sucks in one way because they DM people and try to steal their money and say, hey, I'll offer you a read, pretending to be me and say, I'll offer you a reading for $10, $20. And if someone falls for it, I don't know if they're necessarily I don't know anyone that's fallen for it, but they steal your money, or do they use that somehow to break into your accounts? I don't know who's doing it. But so far I've found 4. I got, when it was perfecting the last week, literally like, they were in the exact conjunction opposite my moon. I found out about the first one. Someone sent it to me and said, look, there's this fake profile. Someone's pretending to be you, and it's Cosmic Colleen, and they're changing numbers, right? My Cosmic Colleen, there is no numbers. So they're adding 1, they're adding 2, they're adding something else. And then once I posted in my social media about it, 4 other people were like, hey, we got another one. We got a different one from that. We got a different one that. I'm like, oh my God. So that's how this played out. Someone stole my identity. My Instagram identity is now trying to DM people to lie and deceit and to steal from them. Not how I thought, which is oftentimes when you start to track your transits, it's not always how you think. It's our human nature, our subconscious nature to project into the worst case scenario, into the future. And that's something that we have to work on every day for that not to happen. So I thought that was kind of a little bit of a funny story about how it played out. I didn't think that way. So if you follow me on Instagram, if you get a message or a follow or a request from anyone else, that's not me. I have one profile, Cosmic Colleen, nothing else. I do not DM for readings, none of that. So if you come across it, please report it, block it, don't answer it. I just want to let you know that is not me, and I would never DM anyone for a reading. So just want to say that again, across the board. Let's jump into Venus conjunct Saturn. Today, I know here in the Philadelphia area, the greater, I think the northeast of the country, I'm not sure about the entire rest of the country, but it's freezing. It's like 31 degrees today, and it's almost April. And I'm like, that's kind of funny because today, Venus conjunct Saturn, it perfects today, and Venus, a warm, moist planet who is coming out of malefics right now. It is ready to ascend in all of her beauty and just enjoy life and pleasures and warmth and good air. Is now conjunct Saturn, the planet of cold, restriction, all of that. So I kind of find that interesting that it's freezing here and it feels very Venus and Saturn. This, like, I could use this weather to describe this transit almost perfectly, right? You want to go outside today. You want to get out with your kids. You want to get out and go run. You want to go have a nice lunch with friends. You want to take a pretty walk. You're ready, especially coming out of wintertime, to just enjoy outside, the pleasures of life. Warm air, sunshine makes things happier, just makes a general happy energy. When it's conjunct Saturn, or in any sort of, sometimes it's less or worse, conjunct is a better combination than maybe opposite, we still feel held back. Just like today in that weather, we want to get all of that, but there is something greater than us holding us back, keeping us inside, restricting us. This transit will kind of fade out by the end of the week. So this week you can expect, in one way, your kids to be a little bit more, because Venus, we talk about kids a lot, Venus, your kids to be a little more strict, understanding. I think especially in Aquarius, they might be a little bit like, I'm going to oppose the rules. However, you should be able to control them and getting under control. You might have some children bring up some really deep pain. You might see your kids bringing up your own family karma, your karma. You might see how your kids play out in you. I think with Venus, we're so focused on the love and love, beauty, love, and we think that's it. But it's so big. Again, when we want to look at our children, when we want to look at the kids in the world, we go to Venus. If we want to look at mothering and the mothers in the world, we go to the moon. So Venus, really, when I see Venus, it really represents our sisters, aunts, and our children. Now let's talk about love, because that is a major planet, our love, our sensuality. Go back. I told you that I was going to change this to the Venus show for a little bit. Go back to listen to all my Venus retrograde, all my episodes of the last 5 months of Venus. Venus has had a very, very hard time, as you guys know, in love, relationships, kids, friendships, beauty. It's been held back. It's been restricted. It was retrograde. And then we're at the end of the hall. We're finishing out in between. It was just been in between Pluto and Saturn for a few weeks. And now it's conjunct Saturn. So it's kind of like the end of the road. We are almost there. And next week on the 6th, it moves into Pisces, and it will finally be free of a very restricted, held close, bind, things not working out, feeling anxiety, pain, suffering. That's what Venus has been feeling. And we're finally going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. This is going to be the last little bit. The last, breakaway. This weekend is going to feel so good for all those things. Even sexuality. I'm sure in a bunch of these episodes I talked about, the sex and what that represents in Venus. But our sexuality, what makes us feel sexy, the power of our sexuality, has been restricted and held back. And that's a really big thing, not knowing where to go, not knowing really how to express yourself in love, how to express yourself in sexuality, beauty, pleasure. Remember, all that stuff was stalled. And when things are stalled, it can be hard not to move ahead from it. It can be hard to just honor that. And that's what I try to get across every week, is that whatever happens with these planets, we have to honor it in that day, in that moment, and understand it and know that it won't be forever. So for the last 5 months, while we've all been going through this and in myself and feeling still going back and forth, I honor it. Even today, I'm so like dreading the next week is not even nice weather yet. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm accepting it. That's how it's going to be. Again, on a very small basis, Venus is going to be free. But however, this week, you might still feel a little bit restricted, closed off, anxiety-ridden, trying to make logic or sense of our beauty, love, pleasure, children, and joys in the world. But pretty soon, next week, I'm going to be finally talking happy about Venus, and I cannot wait. And I know all my listeners cannot wait because we are so ready for that. You guys message me, let me know what's going on in your life, and thank you. And I know we've had quite a reflective 5 months on Venusian things. Tomorrow the moon moves into Pisces, and then the moon moves Thursday into Aries, and then we have a new moon, and Saturday it enters Taurus. So I'm kind of happy. Let's jump into Mercury moving into Aries, though. I love when Mercury is in Aries oftentimes. Last week, as Mercury was headed towards Aries, especially because Mercury is debilitated in Pisces. It just had been into Pisces. Go back and listen to one of those episodes to see how that played out. And it made it for a very lucid, dreamy, confused, lazy, tired, not sure what direction to go to. All of that was happening in our mind and our communication while Mercury was in Pisces, especially for my Mercury ruled people, Geminis and Virgos out there. Not knowing what to say, not knowing to do. Even with this podcast, and in my normal astrology stuff and work stuff and hair stuff, I was not feeling the vibe. I think I talked about a couple weeks ago. I was like, I don't even feel like doing it. I don't even feel like studying astrology. I don't even know what it is today. Like, I just felt very apathetic. And I knew it would pass. And as we were headed towards, I think it must have been Friday night, as Mercury was headed towards Aries, I was da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, you know, the Capricorn moon and I, him and I both, we don't shut up. We're so much Gemini, and so many, we have like 4 planets each in Gemini. We do not shut up. And we talk. So it's always funny when he says something to me. And I was like, da-da-da, you know, talking about astrology and everything like that. And he said, oh, so is that why you're talking so much tonight? And I thought about it in that second. I said, well, actually, Mercury's about to move into Aries. So yes, I'm awakening. My communication, my thoughts, they are awakening, live, and alert. When we're in Aries, we're at the beginning of the zodiac. The sun is in Aries right now. It's exalted. It's very happy. This whole week, you know, was very lively and open and sort of, you know, busy again, fast-paced. When Mercury moves into Aries, the new sign, right? Let's go over Aries rules. Mars rules Aries, right? The planet Mars is ruled by Aries, governed by Aries. Mars rules cutting, severing, fights, dysfunction, but also rules our adrenaline, our drive, our passion. So when we have Mercury in there, we're going to start talking much more, communicating much faster, and we're going to start to get things done, especially coming out of the Pisces season of lost and confusion. You're going to see probably a lot of content creators putting out a ton of content right now, and really fast-paced content, and really keeping up with the content Joneses, for lack of a better word. It's a time for action, to take action with your mind and your words and communicate. And when I say take action, go after what you want. Go after person, place, job, thing that you want. Aries is a very cocky sign. No offense, Aries. And ego-driven because the sun is exalted. Now, again, I'm not just picking on Aries. Every sign has the good and the bad, and that because every planet has the good and the bad. But we can use that because sometimes we need that overconfidence. I hate when people are like, oh, you're too confident, you're too this. No, not really. As long as you're not hurting someone, why? No, they just think that way. Don't worry about them. Well, how do you perceive it? Is a good time to say, you know what? I know my worth. I know my value. I'm going to go after this, or I'm going to go after that, or I'm not. Now, remember, severing, so this is always a good time. When Mars is involved, I talk a lot about ending or cutting ties. This is a good time to say, you know what? I'm cutting that person off. I'm done talking to them. I'm done putting up with their BS. We might see some realizations. But on the other end, our ego can get in the way, so be careful. Our ego can get away, and all of a sudden we're like, I'm not saying that. I'm not speaking that. Or we talk out of our tongue. We should not have said that. You got to be careful because you're going to be very quick with your words, thoughts, and actions. Very spicy, very fiery, very just like boom, 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 boom. Oh, you don't like what I said? Boom, 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 boom. Here's more of what I said. Be careful because that can get you in trouble, and that could sever things. That could sever or end friendships, families. Hopefully not families. I mean, I don't think it's that big when Mercury to end families, but depends on, again, where it is with your chart. Just watch your words. They could come back to haunt you, but if they come back to haunt you, it'd probably be more so for another fight. Someone ready to go back to round 2, you know? So again, your mind is going to feel sharp. It's going to feel alert. It's going to feel ready to do things. It's going to feel ready to talk, communicate, have action, and have some passion throughout the day. You're probably going to find more aggressive drivers during this time. You know, with Mercury, we also look at driving and our day-to-day travel. So you might find a little bit more of aggressive. Don't flip anyone off because you might flip someone off who chases you down the road and, like, you know, pulls into your driveway or something. And crazy shit does happen like that all the time. Now, the new moon in Aries at the end of the week, I'm excited. I always love a new moon in Aries. In Scorpio, I feel like when the new moon's in Mars' other sign of Scorpio, we cut ties with deep emotional patterns, our deep subconscious. And when we have a new moon in Aries, I find that we cut ties or move on from our deep emotional physical patterns. When we look at Scorpio, more of the deep subconscious emotional, and Aries, the physical patterns. What physical patterns are you ready to let go of? What do I mean by physical patterns? Are you drinking too much? Are you smoking too much weed, doing too much drugging? Are you having too much crazy, sex out there? Are you playing out and acting out in voids? Are you being lazy and not working out, not eating correctly, not taking care of your body, not taking care of your mind in certain ways? Because this is also going to be conjunct Mercury. So this is a very powerful new moon to start over and plant a new seed. This would be a great new moon to get sober. This would be a great new moon to start a new workout plan, a new regimen. Go get a personal trainer. This is a new moon where we want to let go of something that's been holding us back physically and move in towards something new that can help our physical to grow and to ascend. During this time, though, being conjunct Mercury, just want to remind everyone, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. This whole time, watch your mouth. And I feel like I'm saying that so many times to say to myself, Colleen, watch your mouth, because my mouth gets me in trouble sometimes. So we want to start over with the physical. Not so much the emotional. I mean, that plays into it, but we want to focus on the physical. How are you taking care of yourself, or how are you not taking care of yourself during this time? Drinking a smoothie right now from Smoothie King on Westchester Pike. Westchester. And you guys know, listening to my episodes, I've been on a health kick for the last couple weeks, and I'm still doing it. I got this vegan, pineapple, spinach, whatever. So sorry, that's what I'm slurping on. With the new moon, we focus on new beginnings, and you can do it very simple. Take 2 minutes and write out a solid affirmation of a powerful new moon beginning for physical start. You can write out 10 affirmations. And then we all have our different rituals, our purposes, our paths, whatever you do, take that and then center your new moon rituals around starting over something new in the physical realm. That's what I suggest for this new moon. It's going to be a little bit more of an active new moon. Oftentimes we find it calm, peaceful, almost like a dark restart in the beautiful garden of lavender. However, this is going to be a very action-packed, almost imagine like a restart inside a laser tag room. You go in there and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm getting out of my head right now. I'm getting out of myself. I'm going to go laser tag and shoot a bunch of people. And I'm feeling ready and recharged to take on the world for the rest of the week. That is what this new moon is going to feel like. So there's probably just going to be a lot of energy for a new moon, a lot more excitement, and a little bit more action. This is also a good new moon to start on your job, starting something new physically with your job. Very good new moon for that. So yeah, I'm excited. What else do we have? Oh yeah, and then on Saturday, the moon enters Taurus, and the moon's very happy. It's exalted in Taurus, so we're going to enjoy the hard work that we've put into changing the physical, or at least making efforts to change the physical. We're going to sit and enjoy on Monday and Sunday. 20 minutes I did that in, and pretty speedy. And I think if you've been listening to me the last couple weeks, you can probably tell the difference between when Mercury is in Pisces and how I sound versus when Mercury is in Aries. I feel like I was on point. I didn't stumble over my words. I didn't get confused. I didn't forget anything, which the last few episodes of Mercury in Pisces I was doing. So happy we didn't have a Mercury retrograde in Pisces. That's always the worst. We actually had, when COVID started 2 years ago, it was like 2 days before the shutdown, the official shutdown, I think Mercury went into Pisces, and it retrograded, and we all know how that went. So I hope everyone has a fabulous week. I hope everyone enjoys, finds happiness, finds love, and takes physical action. If you want to change something in your life, you have to do it. No one else is going to do it for you. There might be guides, there might be people that help you in your path, but you have to do it. Stop projecting, stop living in fear, and figure out how to get yourself up and make the change that you need to do physically. And each time that you get up and you take that hard change, you make that hard change, whatever it is, life gets easier, you get stronger, and you can ride the waves of change. I promise you, but you have to take action. No one else is going to do that for you. You have to. I hope everyone has a fabulous week. Remember, follow me on those social media accounts, Cosmic Colleen 1C. If you get any more of my impersonators, please block them, report them, and absolutely do not accept any DMs from someone saying they're me, saying I will give you a reading for however much. I do not do that. Please pass the word. Please be vigilant. If you do see another fake profile of me on there, send it to me too, so I can also report it and block it. Some crazy shit. Who does this shit? Do you know what I mean? I guess they just want to rob. But as we move, that's one thing I was thinking today, as we move towards a much more technical world, where everything's online and people can hack, it's kind of scary what people can do. We put ourselves out there and all of a sudden someone can just totally, has the time to take all of my pictures and everything I wrote with my pictures and make multiple profiles in order to try to steal $10 from people. It's a weird world, but this is just the beginning of that. That will say that for another episode. But I love you all. Have an amazing day. Thank you for your support, and all of you are beautiful.